everyone, welcome to One Girl, Two Cities on Sizzlin' 99.9 KSIZ. I'm Laura, your host, and I'm here to tell you about what's going on in the Twin Cities, from concerts to theater to restaurants and everything in between. We've got a website you guys can check out. It's onegirl2cities.com, all spelled out, and you can find me on all the other social medias on there as well. I just started a YouTube channel even, so you can catch some of the old shows on there, and I'll eventually have some other kinds of videos up eventually, but for now it's just the shows, I think. Thanks to Chris for producing tonight.
You're welcome.
You know, we've got a special guest in the studio tonight. We've got Samantha Haddow. Hello. I guess I can introduce you as costume designer?
Costumer, costume designer, a little bit of everything.
Okay, and then also one of the people that runs Barley's Angels, which I've had a couple other guests on the show before, so I'm happy to have more and more. Well, we're going to talk mainly about theater, at least for the first couple of segments here. So I just want to hear about your background and how you started getting into theater and then the costume side of things.
I have sort of an odd background. I actually started my undergraduate degree in veterinary science.
Oh, hey, me too.
All right.
Nice.
Segued into, even before I had made it to the university, I decided I wanted to dip my fingers a little more into theater, and I had been doing that in high school, mostly as a stage manager, that behind the scenes, organized, bossing people around sort of thing. When I got to the university, I went to UW-Stevens Point, so about 4 hours west of here, east of here. I really started, I'd always been an artist. I always drew. I loved fashion, not the wearing or designing of it, but just the history behind clothes was really fascinating to me. And because I could sew, I got put into the costume shop right off the bat at the university, that free labor thing. And I fell in love with it. I had been a tomboy, still am a bit of a tomboy. And I tried the scene shop thing, I tried lighting design, I tried my hand at stage management, but really fell in love with the costume side of things. And I had a really, really wonderful professor who really pushed and introduced me to a lot of other things that you don't necessarily get to do in an undergraduate setting. So I started dabbling in hats, in making hats and designing masks and making jewelry.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of these other hands-on crafty bits, all these accessories that really I was just so excited about it. I got out of undergraduate, didn't quite have the confidence just to dive right in and do this. I thought of myself mostly as a designer, but I decided to go on to grad school. I went to New Jersey. I went to Rutgers University, Mason Gross School of the Arts, where I got my master's in fine arts in costume design, and from there I had a bit of a panic attack after graduating, as a lot of us do when we don't have anything.
We have to get real jobs now.
Yeah, I know. I don't have anything lined up. I had a wonderful summer at the Berkshire Theatre Festival in Massachusetts that summer, and was sending out resumes left and right. With a master's degree, I could teach, so I was sending out applications to universities, to costume shops to work in their shop as a stitcher or a draper, to all of these little theaters all over for design work. And on one of the professional job boards, I came across an ad for Honolulu Theatre for Youth. And kind of one of those, I'm young, I'm going to throw caution to the wind.
Yeah,
it's a
what the
one-year
hell?
contract. I moved to Hawaii.
That's so cool.
So I was there for 2 years designing at Honolulu Theatre for Youth, working with, they were adult actors performing for kids, usually very small casts, and they traveled to the different islands, to all the schools in that area. And it was fascinating because they really tried to meld a lot of contemporary theater that we know, and a lot of Asian theater, and a lot of Hawaiian and Polynesian mythology and stories as well. So there's this really, really wonderful sort of sense of tradition and history in this tiny, tiny little professional theater in the middle of paradise.
Yeah,
really,
what a great experience.
It was a wonderful, wonderful, expensive 2 years.
You know, I think I went there years ago now, and yeah, I think a donut was like $5.
Yeah.
I was like, are you kidding me? I mean, I might pay that for a Glam Bell donut now, but yeah, but this was just like a little cake donut with some really disgusting frosting on it. And
yeah. I mean, the
not
sticker
worth it.
shock was, the gallon of milk was $10 if it wasn't on sale. It's like, it's more than my gas, and I'm not getting the car here anyway.
Yeah.
But you were able to walk everywhere and, you know, snorkel or hike or just sunbathe, whatever. That was dirt cheap, and it was wonderful. But it was a wonderful 2 years. I met my husband out there. But then island fever sets in a little bit, and we both were kind of ready to move on, and the same thing happened. We threw caution to the wind and just sent out resumes left and right, both of us. I ended up getting a job back at a theater that I had worked at for several summers in Wisconsin, American Players Theater, in the crafts department. And that's essentially what I do now at the Guthrie full-time, is the crafts artist, and that is the person who does all the stuff that I said my professor sort of made me fall in love with.
Sure.
Those accessories, the shoes, the masks, and all the painting and dye work. So I got the summer job back there again and just was sending out resumes. The Guthrie job came up, and, you know, having grown up in the Midwest, I was well aware of the Guthrie's reputation in the nation, and let alone in this region.
Sure.
And I almost didn't send my resume out.
I would definitely feel intimidated.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I have my master's, I have several years of experience under me at these professional theaters, but I don't. That's up there.
Yeah.
That's sort of the peak of the professional theater world, and at least in the track that I was, because I wasn't doing Broadway. I had no interest in films. That's a whole different ball game. But in the regional theater circuit, it's like, yeah, Guthrie, Steppenwolf, Milwaukee Rep, San Diego, the Old Globe in San Diego. It's like so I, with quite a bit of encouragement from several of the people I was working with, I sent my resume there, and it was a whirlwind. I actually got a job offer from another theater about the same time the manager at the Guthrie was trying to set up a phone interview. So there was a little bit of that obnoxious game of cat and mouse and that waiting game of trying to put off accepting a job offer that's a guaranteed and following through on what ended up being a dream job.
Yeah.
And so it ended up working out very well. A very close friend from my graduate program actually ended up getting the job that I turned down in Cincinnati.
Well, that works.
So it's a small world. It really is a small world. And I've been at the Guthrie now for 6.5 years.
Wow. That's so cool.
And that is my full-time job, but I do quite a bit of freelance on top of that as well.
Yeah, because I know that, Lyric Arts in Anoka is, one of my favorite places, and it was funny because before we even met each other, I had written about loving your costume design for Blythe Spirit, and then when we met, you're like, oh yeah, you wrote about me, and I was like, oh, that's you. Because yes, I do meet people that, I write about from time to time, but yeah, it was just unexpected, so it was
to
very
meet
nice.
in a beer setting, and not in a theater setting was sort of interesting as well.
Yes,
and refreshing.
Yes, but definitely shout out to Veronica, because right away she said, oh, my friend Sam's here, she does theater stuff, you need to talk to her and get her on your show. So here we sit, and that's fantastic. So yeah, what are some of the, and you have recently done Theater Latte Does into the Woods.
That was an absolutely amazing experience, and another sort of intimidating step in the path that I have taken. It sort of came out of the blue. My boss at the Guthrie, Christine, who unfortunately has moved on to other things, she has been advocating for me and several other people at the Guthrie for these various jobs throughout the city, and she had recommended me to Peter. I had no idea that she had recommended me to Peter Rothstein, and I got this email one day from him, like, Samantha, would you be interested in working on Into the Woods? I've heard wonderful things about you. I'm looking forward to working with you.
Wow.
And it was one of those, is this the Peter I think it is?
Yeah, exactly. Pinch yourself, make sure you're not dreaming.
How does he have my email address? And it was right between three other pretty large projects. I had just done Blythe Spirit at Lyric Arts. That one had come and gone. I was finishing up Goodnight Moon at Stages. So there was this little window of time right between Goodnight Moon and my next project, which was Carousel with the Minnesota Orchestra, which was going to be a huge production. It was 30-some actors, 45-some costumes, but a 4-day 4 days of performances. And so it was a really, really short rehearsal process. But it sort of fit right in the middle of all of that, and it was it's Into the Woods. It's a show that I've been wanting to do for a really, really long time, with a theater that the stuff that they put out is just absolutely incredible. Artistically, the concepts, vocally, they always pull together such great casts. And it was sort of I'm going to kick myself either way, but I have to do it. I really feel like I have to do it.
Yeah.
And that's one, design-wise, that's one of my highlights. I have the collaboration between all of the artists on that was absolutely incredible. The product that we came out with, the cast was so close and gracious. It was a huge family, and you get that with a lot of shows, but there was something about this production in particular that everything really just seemed to come together and meld well. And it was also one of the most stressful productions I've ever worked on, just in terms of trying to get everything up and together, because it is, Peter is brilliant. He's also very, very demanding and exacting, and in a wonderful way pushes you to create this absolutely amazing piece of art.
Sure, and it's a big cast, and
yeah.
and their spin was kind of the German beer garden, is that correct? So
Yeah.
at least that's kind of up your alley too.
That was the other thing when I did a little bit of online snooping to find out what I could about what they've already said about their production. It's like Bavarian Beer Garden. I think I could get behind that. So and then in part of that, they wanted to get local breweries to serve concessions. So we actually managed to get Bauhaus Brewery.
Perfect.
Which, yeah, that was the first place that came to mind. It was, okay, Bauhaus or Shells, like those are our German breweries. That's so, and Bauhaus came up. They were more than happy to. We got Enki bread off of Central Avenue to provide pretzels. So
nice.
It was this nice sort of all-encompassing world of theater and music and beer and fairy tales.
Yeah, I love that because it just, it makes it so much more of an experience.
Yeah.
I mean, going to the theater obviously is an experience in and of itself, but when you can put little special touches on that, then, it just brings it to a whole new level.
And it's so fun to put Lederhosen on stage.
Yes, the pictures were very fun to watch. I didn't quite get around to seeing that one, but I had seen Lyric Arts Into the Woods, so I was like, okay, I'm good on that one for a little while.
Yeah.
So
I was a little crushed when I wasn't asked to do Into the Woods at Lyric. So when this opportunity for La Ti Da came along, that was another sort of impetus for, okay, I do have to do this show. Like it was meant to be that. Oddly enough, another Samantha designed the costumes for Lyrics Into the Woods, and then this production came up as an opportunity for me. So it all worked out, and everybody seemed pretty happy with them. Both of the productions were very, very wonderful for very different reasons.
Yeah, that's the fun thing about the theater that happens is everyone just putting their own little spin on it, so you're not going to see the same thing everywhere.
No.
It's, a lot of times not very straightforward, which is really cool. So. Well, we're going to take a song break, but when we come back, I want to kind of pick your brain a little bit more about where you get some of your inspiration and maybe some of your favorite eras to work on and things like that. So, but we'll let the listeners enjoy the song. Thanks for listening so far. This is Laura on One Girl, Two Cities on KSIZ, Sizzlin' 99.9.